You know what separates the people who win in life from the people who spend their whole existence wondering why nothing changes? It starts right here in this exact moment when you decide whether you're going to keep lying to yourself or finally face the truth that's been staring you in the face for years. The world you want, the success you dream about, the power you admire in others, none of it is waiting for you. It's not sitting there with your name on it. It belongs to the person who shows up with the fire, the focus, the discipline, the one who doesn't need someone else to push them, motivate them, or tell them that now is the time. Because the time was always now. It's always been now. But you didn't act. You hesitated. You doubted yourself. You gave yourself excuses that felt comfortable in the moment, but poisoned your potential. And the worst part is you knew it while you were doing it. Every single day you wake up with two options. You can keep living inside the story you've built for yourself. The story where you tell people you're trying, where you convince yourself that you're waiting for the right moment, that you're planning, preparing, researching, healing, resting, thinking, aligning whatever new excuse you've dressed up as self-care or strategy. Or you can tear that story apart right now and step into the truth that nothing changes until you do. The truth that no one is coming to save you, no one owes you anything, no one is responsible for your future except you. And the moment you accept that, the moment it actually sinks into your bones, everything starts to shift. You've spent so much of your life underestimating yourself. Not because you're weak, but because you let comfort deceive you. Comfort is the quiet killer. It whispers to you that you're fine where you are, that you're not ready, that tomorrow will feel easier, that you'll start when life aligns perfectly. But life never aligns for the person who waits. Life aligns for the person who demands alignment through relentless action. That's the difference between the ones who rise and the ones who stay exactly where they've always been. The ones who rise don't overthink, they don't negotiate with themselves, they don't drown in hesitation, they move. They push, they execute. You've got potential inside you that you haven't even touched yet. You know it. You've always known it. You've had moments where you felt unstoppable, moments where you believed you could be more, moments where you could clearly see the life you're supposed to be living. But potential without execution rots. Potential without discipline dies. And deep down, you feel that decay. You feel the frustration, the heaviness, the anger at yourself for not doing the things you know you should be doing. That isn't depression. That isn't lack of motivation. That is your spirit fighting against the cage you've built around it. The cage is made of your excuses. Every time you said, "I'll start tomorrow," you added a bar. Every time you said, "I'm tired," you locked the door. Every time you said, "I don't know how," you tightened the chains. And every day you live inside that cage, the walls get thicker, the air gets heavier, and the dream gets further away. But you're not trapped because the cage is imaginary. It's a prison you built in your mind. And if you built it, you can break it. The moment you decide that you're done with excuses, your entire identity shifts. You stop being the person who hopes, and you become the person who hunts. You stop waiting for life to give you things, and you start taking what's yours through effort, through consistency, through staying on the path, even when it's painful, even when it's boring, even when you're tired and no one is watching. That's where strength is built. That's where self-respect is built. Not in the easy moments, but in the moments where everything inside you wants to stop and you keep going anyway. And when you do that long enough, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself, not in a motivational, feel-good way, but in a deep, unshakable way. You know that if you say you're going to do something, you'll do it. You become reliable to yourself. And that reliability becomes confidence, because confidence isn't standing in a mirror telling yourself you're great. Confidence is knowing you can execute because you've proven it to yourself repeatedly. And once that confidence starts to grow, your entire life begins to shift around you. Not because the world changed, but because you finally did. People keep talking about motivation like it's some magical fuel that successful people wake up with every morning. They think winners roll out of bed with fireworks going off in their minds, feeling unstoppable, ready to conquer the world. That's a fantasy. Motivation is temporary. It's emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. If your entire life is built around waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel inspired, waiting for that perfect burst of motivation, you're already lost. You're scheduling your success around your emotions, and emotions are the most unstable thing a human being has. One bad mood, one bad day, one moment of doubt is enough to break you if motivation is the only thing holding you together. The truth is simple: discipline will take you places motivation will never reach. Discipline does not negotiate with your feelings. Discipline does not care if you're tired, stressed, sad, angry, uninspired, or overwhelmed. Discipline asks for one thing: action. And the problem is, most people don't want action. They want excitement. They want hype. They want the thrill of planning their goals, but not the grind of achieving them. They want to feel good, not do good. They crave the psychological high of imagining success without suffering through the daily repetition required to create it. You can always tell the difference between someone who relies on motivation and someone who lives by discipline. Motivated people start fast, but they burn out quickly. They explode with energy in the beginning, talk big, dream big, announce big plans, and then disappear the moment the work becomes boring or uncomfortable. Disciplined people, on the other hand, move quietly. They don't need to announce anything. They don't need to impress anyone. They show up again and again and again, whether they feel like it or not, because discipline isn't based on emotion, it's based on commitment. There will be days when you wake up feeling unstoppable. And there will be days when the weight of the world sits on your shoulders before you even get out of bed. There will be mornings when you feel sharp, ready, focused. And there will be mornings when your body feels heavy and your mind feels foggy. Motivation disappears in those moments. Discipline does not. Discipline forces you to rise when your feelings tell you to sleep. Discipline pushes you forward when your emotions are begging you to quit. Discipline is the voice inside your mind reminding you that your goals don't care about your mood. Most people underestimate just how powerful discipline is because they've never experienced it. They've never committed to something long enough to create real momentum. They've never forced themselves to keep going after the initial excitement faded. They quit too early, too often, too easily. They never build the muscle of consistency. So they live their entire lives chasing motivation like addicts chasing a high that keeps running away from them. If you always need to feel good, to take action, you will never achieve anything meaningful. Discipline is what allows you to work when you're exhausted, to focus when you're distracted, to progress when you're discouraged. It is the quiet force behind every successful person you've ever admired. They didn't win because they had more motivation than you. They won because they trained themselves to act with or without motivation. They turned discipline into their default setting. They turned effort into habit. They turned consistency into identity. Imagine how different your life would look if you stopped waiting to feel ready. Imagine where you'd be right now if you didn't quit every time things became difficult. Imagine the version of you that would exist today if you hadn't relied on emotion but relied on discipline instead. That version of you is stronger, sharper, more focused, and more dangerous. That version of you wakes up and does what needs to be done without complaining, without hesitating, without negotiating with excuses. That version of you makes progress every day, even on the days that feel heavy. Discipline is the weapon that separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. It is the difference between wishing for a better life and creating one. It is the bridge between intention and execution. Anyone can want success. Anyone can imagine success. Anyone can talk about success. But only the disciplined earn success. Because only the disciplined are willing to show up when everyone else is asleep, tired, distracted, unfocused, or overwhelmed. People think discipline is about being strict or harsh. It's not. Discipline is about loyalty to your future self. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're choosing the future you over the present you. You're choosing growth over pleasure. You're choosing progress over excuses. You're choosing to build a life you will be proud of instead of living a life you tolerate. The moment you understand that feelings don't matter, that motivation doesn't matter, that inspiration doesn't matter, your life becomes simpler. Because then the only question that matters each day is, did you do what you said you'd do? The answer to that single question decides whether you remain who you are or become who you could be. Look around at the people you spend the most time with, and you'll understand exactly why your life looks the way it does. Humans are programmable. You absorb the habits, beliefs, energy, standards, and mindset of the people closest to you without even noticing it. You think you're thinking your own thoughts, but in reality, you're echoing the environment you've been placed in. If you surround yourself with people who complain, you'll start complaining. If you surround yourself with people who settle, you'll begin settling. If you spend enough time with people who expect nothing from themselves, eventually you'll expect nothing from yourself too. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your environment. You can have incredible goals, powerful visions, and big ambitions, but if the people around you operate at a low standard, they will pull you down to match them. Not because they're evil or malicious, but because human beings subconsciously synchronize with their surroundings. You adjust your behavior to fit the group you're in, even when that group is limiting you. And most people don't even realize it's happening. They think their lack of progress is because of their circumstances or their lack of opportunity, when in reality, it's because they've allowed themselves to be influenced by people who don't push them, challenge them, or expect greatness from them. You can see this clearly in anyone's daily life. Listen to the conversations they have. Pay attention to the jokes they laugh at. Look at how they spend their free time. Look at the things they tolerate. All of this is shaped by the environment they've accepted as normal. If everyone around you sleeps late, you'll start sleeping late. If everyone around you wastes time, you'll waste time. If everyone around you avoids responsibility, you'll start justifying avoiding responsibility too. Your environment defines your standards, and your standards define your results. This is why you can take someone with average talent and place them in a high-performance environment, and suddenly they'll rise. They'll wake up earlier, work harder, think sharper, take more action simply because the group around them expects it. And on the other hand, you can take someone with massive potential, put them around lazy, negative, undisciplined people, and watch their ambition disappear. They'll slowly lose their fire, their drive, their hunger, because nobody around them supports it or mirrors it. The most dangerous environments are not the ones filled with enemies. The most dangerous environments are the ones filled with comfortable people. People who don't care about improvement. People who coast through life. People who settle for mediocrity and expect you to do the same. They won't attack your dreams head on. They'll do something worse. They'll normalize a lifestyle that kills your potential quietly. They'll tell you to relax. They'll tell you that you're trying too hard. They'll tell you that success takes time and you shouldn't rush. They'll encourage you to take breaks you didn't earn, days off you didn't need, and shortcuts you can't afford. And if you're not careful, you'll slowly become one of them without even noticing the transformation happening. Every great transformation in life begins with changing your environment, changing who you listen to, changing who you allow to influence you, changing the standards of the people you interact with. When you surround yourself with disciplined people, you start behaving more disciplined. When you spend time with ambitious individuals, you start thinking bigger. When you communicate with winners, you start adopting a winner's mindset. Their habits rub off on you. Their focus rubs off on you. Their drive rubs off on you. They force you to level up simply by existing beside you. Imagine you're trying to grow, but every conversation you have is small. Every person you talk to is unmotivated. Every environment you step into is draining. How are you supposed to elevate? How are you supposed to evolve? You cannot drag yourself to success while your environment pulls you back. You need surroundings that push you forward. You need people who ask more of you. You need a circle that holds you accountable to the highest version of yourself, not the easiest version of yourself. And it's not only about who you physically spend time with, it's what you consume. The videos you watch, the content you follow, the voices you give your attention to. You might think it's harmless, but everything you consume slowly becomes part of your behavior. You can't watch lazy people all day and expect to feel ambitious. You can't follow negative people and expect to stay positive. You can't listen to weak-minded people and expect to develop strength. Your mind absorbs everything you feed it, and it molds itself into the shape of your environment. If you truly want to change your life, you must change the influences that shape it. Replace small talk with big ideas. Replace negativity with ambition. Replace laziness with discipline. Replace excuses with action. Surround yourself with people who are hungry for progress, not people who are comfortable with stagnation. Find people who make you question whether you're doing enough, not people who make you feel like you're doing too much. Seek environments that demand growth, not ones that reward weakness. Because once your environment improves, everything connected to your life improves with it. People love the idea of success, but they hate the reality of what it actually demands. Everyone wants the results. Everyone wants the transformation. Everyone wants the success story they can post online, but very few are willing to show up every single day when nobody is clapping, when nobody is watching, and when nobody cares. That is where real winners are built. In the silent days, in the invisible days, in the disciplined days that feel boring, repetitive, and unglamorous. The world sees the trophies, but it never sees the mornings you woke up exhausted and chose to show up anyway. The world sees the results, but never the countless hours you worked while everyone else was relaxing. Consistency is not exciting. It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. It doesn't give you butterflies in your stomach or a rush of adrenaline. It's slow. It's steady. It's repetitive to the point where most people can't stand it. That's why they quit. They want something new every day. They want to feel something. They want to be entertained. But real progress comes from doing the same necessary actions so many times that you become undeniable. You don't rise because you're special. You rise because you refuse to stop showing up long after everyone else has given up. Most people work hard when they feel good. They train when they're motivated. They only push when the mood is right. And that's exactly why they never reach the level they want. Life doesn't reward the motivated. Life rewards the relentless. You have to be the kind of person who keeps moving even when the excitement is gone, even when the spark fades, even when the results are slow, even when the progress is invisible. Because the truth is, progress is almost always invisible in the beginning. You don't see the payoff until much later, and that's where most people fail. They quit too early, not knowing their breakthrough was just around the corner. There will be days you want to quit. Days your mind tries to convince you that your effort isn't working. Days you look in the mirror and wonder why you're even trying. Those are the exact days that matter the most. Anybody can work hard when everything feels easy. A child can do that. Consistency only becomes powerful when it's executed in difficulty. When you show up while carrying stress, pain, boredom, exhaustion, pressure, or self-doubt, that's when you build the version of yourself that can't be broken. You have to understand something crucial. The most successful people in the world aren't the smartest. They aren't the strongest. They aren't the most talented. They are simply the ones who kept going long after the passionate ones burned out. They figured out that the universe rewards endurance. It rewards those who don't stop, those who don't disappear, those who refuse to back down from the grind. Think about planting a seed. You water it day after day with no sign of anything happening. Nothing changes on the surface, so most people walk away thinking they failed. But the growth was happening underground the entire time, quietly, invisibly, consistently. That's exactly how your progress works. You won't see results every day. You won't get rewarded instantly. You won't feel transformation happening moment by moment. But it's happening. Every day you show up is another drop of water. Every day you persist is another root growing deeper. Every day you stay disciplined is another layer forming that makes you stronger, tougher, and more driven. Most people sabotage themselves because they expect progress to feel dramatic. They wait for fireworks. They want a big emotional confirmation that the work is paying off. But success doesn't announce itself like that. It appears suddenly after months or years of consistent effort. You wake up one day and everything is different, not because of what you did that day, but because of everything you did before that day. Breakthroughs are the final result of thousands of small efforts that nobody sees and nobody applauds. Consistency is a form of self-respect. When you show up daily, you're proving to yourself that you're someone who keeps their word. You're proving that you're someone who doesn't run the moment life becomes uncomfortable. You're proving that you are building a life through action, not through hope or talk. Every day you stay consistent, you're separating yourself from the person you used to be. And every day you show up, you're stepping deeper into the identity of someone who wins. People underestimate the power of becoming predictable with your effort. When your actions become routine instead of optional, success becomes inevitable. You don't need to be extraordinary. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent, because consistency compounds. One day becomes 2, 2 becomes 10, 10 becomes 100, and before you know it, you've built something unstoppable without even realizing it. Everyone wants strength, success, confidence, discipline, power, but almost nobody wants the one thing that creates all of them: pain. People spend their entire lives running from discomfort like it's a disease. They avoid anything that challenges them. They back away from anything that demands effort. They escape every situation that exposes their weakness. Yet they're confused about why they never grow. They don't understand that the very thing they're running from is the exact thing they need. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the price. Pain is the admission ticket to the life you want, and most people refuse to pay it. You don't become strong by avoiding resistance. You become strong by facing it. You don't develop discipline from comfort. You develop it from doing things you don't want to do over and over until your mind stops negotiating. Every great person you admire has one thing in common: they suffered for it. They went through nights of doubt, mornings of exhaustion, days of frustration, and seasons of struggle. They didn't earn their strength by accident. They carved it out of discomfort, one painful step at a time. But people today want shortcuts. They want hacks. They want life to be easy. They want success without sacrifice, progress without pressure, transformation without turbulence. And when things get difficult, the first thing they do is retreat. They think pain is a sign to stop. They think struggle is a signal that something is wrong. They think discomfort means they're on the wrong path. What they don't realize is that pain is the confirmation that you're on the right one. Pain is the signal that you're breaking the limits that used to control you. Pain is the proof that you're stepping into a version of yourself you've never been before. Pain is the evidence that you're not staying where you were. It's the resistance you feel when you push against your weaknesses. It's the friction created when your old habits collide with your new standards. Pain is not punishment. Pain is progress demanding to be earned. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they can build a strong life while avoiding the experiences that create strength. They want confidence, but they avoid situations that might embarrass them. They want courage, but they run from fear. They want discipline, but they avoid responsibility. They want results, but they dodge the work. How are you supposed to grow when you never leave the comfort zone that's been keeping you small? You can't build muscle without weight. You can't develop character without challenges. You can't grow mentally, emotionally, or physically without discomfort. Every breakthrough you want is waiting on the other side of something painful. The workout that hurts, the conversation you're afraid to have, the habit you need to break, the goal you keep delaying, the discipline you keep avoiding. You keep waiting for life to feel easy before you take action. But the truth is, action is supposed to feel difficult. That's how you know it matters. If it were easy, everyone would do it, and it wouldn't mean anything. What separates those who rise from those who fall isn't talent or luck or intelligence, it's their relationship with pain. Most people see pain and run. Winners see pain and move toward it. When something feels uncomfortable, they don't avoid it, they attack it. They understand that pain is shaping them, carving them, sharpening them. Every difficult moment is building endurance. Every uncomfortable task is forging resilience. Every painful experience is making them harder to break. Think about every great story of success you've ever heard. It doesn't start with comfort. It starts with struggle. It starts with being broke, being overlooked, being underestimated, being in doubt, being pushed down, being ignored. These painful stages aren't obstacles, they're origins. They're the foundation of greatness. They're the proof that you didn't inherit your strength, you earned it. They're the reason people look at you later and say, "How did you become so powerful?" And the answer is always the same, because you were willing to endure what others refuse to face. Pain teaches you things comfort never will. Pain reveals who you are when the mask comes off. Pain exposes your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. Pain humbles you, refines you, and forces you to grow. Most importantly, pain eliminates the illusions you've built around yourself. It strips away the excuses. It destroys the lies. It removes the fantasies and leaves only the truth. And the truth is this: you can handle far more than you think. There will be days when the journey feels heavier than you expected. There will be moments when you question whether it's worth it. There will be times when everything inside you wants to quit. That's the moment pain does its real work. It pushes you to discover a level of strength you didn't know you had. It teaches you to rely on discipline instead of emotion. It transforms you from someone who wishes into someone who endures. And endurance is the birthplace of every legendary life ever lived. When you finally reach the point where you understand that your excuses have been the biggest enemy in your life, something powerful happens inside you. There comes a moment when a man realizes that the world isn't waiting for him, that success won't knock on his door, that no one is coming to drag him out of bed, push him into the gym, force him to work, or remind him of his potential. And that realization hits hard because it exposes the truth you've been avoiding for years. In Keynote 6, we're talking about the discipline that creates unstoppable momentum, the force that separates the ones who dream from the ones who dominate, and the mindset that ensures you never fall back into the weak version of yourself that you fought so hard to escape. Discipline isn't a mood. Discipline isn't motivation. Discipline isn't something you switch on only when life feels good. Discipline is a promise you make to yourself and refuse to break. Discipline is you versus you every single day, in every single decision. And the brutal reality is that most people lose that battle before the day even begins. They hit snooze, they scroll, they delay, they choose comfort, and then wonder why they stay stuck. But you, if you want to be the kind of man who demands results instead of excuses, you have to build momentum through disciplined repetition of the work you hate, at the times you least want to do it, without negotiation, without softness, and without asking anyone's permission. Momentum is not magic. It's created through consistent pressure. Imagine pushing a boulder uphill. At first, it's heavy, it's resistant, and every inch feels like a war. That's how discipline feels in the beginning. Your mind protests, your body whines, your habits drag you down. But the more you push, the more momentum you gain, and eventually that same boulder that almost crushed you begins to move with less effort because you refused to stop when it was hard. And once momentum is on your side, everything changes because discipline becomes easier to maintain than it was to start, and the results begin to accelerate in ways you never thought possible. The problem is that most people quit before the momentum kicks in. They do the work for 3 days, a week, maybe a month, and then one bad day convinces them to throw it all away. But the people who win are the ones who refuse to break the streak, who refuse to negotiate with their excuses, who refuse to justify laziness with emotional stories. You only become unstoppable when you decide that discipline is not optional, that discipline is not something you try, but something you embody, something you live, something you become. Think about the version of you that you dream about becoming. The stronger you, the richer you, the more respected you, the more powerful you. That man does not exist without discipline. That man does not appear because you wished for him. That man is not created on accident. He is built deliberately, carved day by day, fortified by every difficult decision you choose to face instead of avoid. And if you want to meet that man, if you want to shake his hand one day, you need momentum on your side. And the only way to get it is through disciplined action, repeated with military consistency. Momentum is a multiplier. Once it's rolling, things that once seemed impossible begin to feel normal. Waking up early becomes easy. Training becomes part of your identity. Working late becomes satisfying instead of exhausting. The habits that once required force begin to feel like breathing. And that's when life starts to shift. Because when your discipline becomes automatic, your results become inevitable. And there is nothing more dangerous, nothing more unstoppable, nothing more powerful than a man who operates on unstoppable momentum. But here's the truth that people hate to admit. Momentum can also work against you. Just like positive habits can build power, negative habits can build destruction. Laziness compounds. Procrastination compounds. Excuses compound. Every day you avoid the work, every day you break a promise to yourself, every day you let discipline slip, you build momentum in the wrong direction. And before you know it, you're sliding backwards faster than you climbed forward. That's why discipline is not a sometimes thing. It's not a mood. It's not a phase. It's an identity. You must become the man who cannot be pulled off course by distraction, by weakness, by temptation, by the softness of modern life. Discipline must become the engine that powers your life, the foundation of every decision, the force that keeps you moving even when you don't feel like moving, because momentum only stays with those who honor it consistently. At the end of everything you've heard, after every truth, every challenge, every call out, and every uncomfortable mirror held up to your face, it all comes down to one final reality. Your life will be shaped entirely by the standards you accept and the actions you take. Not your parents, not your friends, not society, not luck, not timing. You, the man staring back at you in the mirror every morning, the man who either rises or collapses based on the choices he makes when no one is watching. You've been given every reason to stop lying to yourself, every reason to abandon the excuses that have poisoned your potential, every reason to attack your goals with a level of intensity you've never shown before. Because deep down you already know what needs to be done. You know the habits that destroy you. You know the temptations that weaken you. You know the patterns that waste your time, drain your energy, and pull you further from the life you claim you want. And you also know the discipline, the effort, the consistency, and the self-honesty required to break them. This speech wasn't meant to motivate you for a few minutes. It wasn't meant to hype you up temporarily. It was meant to expose the difference between who you are and who you pretend you are, to force you to confront the gap between the life you live and the life you could live if you stopped playing small. Every chapter of this message pointed you back to the same truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is responsible for your success. Nobody is obligated to believe in you. The world rewards results, not intentions. Strength, not softness. Discipline, not dreams. You can build a life of power, of dominance, of respect, of achievement, but it will never come from waiting, hoping, or wishing. It comes from deciding. It comes from grinding. It comes from refusing to be mediocre for one more day. If you truly want to transform, you must step into the version of yourself who no longer hesitates, who no longer negotiates with excuses, who no longer allows weakness to speak louder than ambition. A man who understands that discomfort is the price of progress. A man who takes action even when tired. A man who holds himself to a standard the world doesn't even expect from him. Because the moment you adopt that mindset, your entire life begins to shift. Momentum builds, confidence grows, opportunities appear, respect increases, purpose returns, and suddenly the world no longer feels heavy because you become strong enough to carry it. Everything you want is on the other side of consistent action. Everything you admire in other men was built through years of discipline you never saw. Everything you think is impossible is waiting for the version of you strong enough to earn it. And if you walk away from this message and go back to your old life, your old habits, your old comfort, then nothing changes. But if you walk away from this choosing strength over weakness, choosing action over excuses, choosing discipline over distraction, then this becomes the moment everything in your world shifts. This becomes the day your old self dies and your new self begins. This becomes the point in your story where you stopped talking and started becoming.